Evening, folks. It's a Wednesday evening. It's piddling down outside. I'm in because I'm full of cold, so if I sound a bit off, a bit croaky, and I start coughing and spluttering, that's why. So Wednesday's normally my night out for a drink with the lads, but I'm staying in because I feel like crap. But I thought I need to come online because I've just read this article on Property 118 about a renters' rights organisation called Acorn. And they are slamming the proposed £15,000 cost cap for landlords making energy efficiency improvements. And they're instead calling for a 2-year freeze on rents after renovation. For those of you who don't know, Acorn is a union for tenants, basically. And it's across the country. It's run by a board. They're all over. They're Manchester, Liverpool up here, and they go down south and etc. all over the country. So they're national. So quite a big organisation. So, as you know, or as you should know as a landlord, the government is running a consultation on EPCs. And one of the proposals is introducing an increased price cap of £15,000 per property for energy efficiency improvements. Landlords would also be able to register for an exemption, which you always have been able to do, and you still can do. Exemptions have always been possible. Don't be told they haven't. If required work would take them over this amount. And that's fair, However, tenant organisation Acorn, and I'm reading sometimes directly from Property 118, so all credit to them for this article. Tenant organisation argues landlords should not be allowed the exemption, and if a landlord has access grants to help with energy efficiency improvements, the freeze on rent increases should be even longer. To access a grant for these improvements, your tenant has to be on benefits. You cannot just access grants like that. It doesn't work like that. I'm not going to have a view on that because I think they've really annoyed me with the rest of the article, to be honest with you. In response to the consultation, Acorn claimed the cost cap will allow some landlords to avoid making necessary improvements. Now, I'm not disagreeing that there's a little minority of landlords that are rogue. The vast majority, including myself, pride ourselves on being good landlords, providing good accommodation at a fair rate. I keep my properties just below market rate rental. Not over it. I'm not trying to charge hundreds over it like some rogue landlords do. So, we're providing good accommodation, good standard of accommodation, and I pride myself on the fact that it's well maintained. If there's an issue, it's dealt with ASAP. If someone says the boiler's broken down, I want someone out there as soon as possible to fix it for them. And I pride myself on that. And on most landlords I know, in fact, all the landlords I know do that. So, this has really peed me off again. I had to go about shelter a few weeks back, have a look for that one as well. But for those, okay. Acorn said, we're not in favour of cost cap. Most properties will be able to be renovated to the correct standard for much less than £15,000. Potentially that's correct. However, if you're going off an EPC certificate, they don't give you the low cost options. It's always get solar panels, get external wall insulation, get internal wall insulation, get underfloor insulation. And these things tend to cost a lot of money. And the thing, you could say, let's get photovoltaic cells which produce electricity to help house. That's great. But then you need a structural survey on the roof because these solar panels weigh quite a bit. And your roof may not be able to stand that extra weight. And the grant for solar panels does not cover structural work needed for them to be put on the roof. So, let's get real here. Acorn says, if a cost cap did exist, then landlords should be required to make the full £15,000 themselves. Most landlords have to. So unless your tenant's on benefits, you can't do it. I don't have tenants on benefits. My lender does not allow that. So some lenders, and I'm not going to name the mortgage company itself, won't allow you to lend to people on benefits. So one of the lenders I use quite a lot does not allow that. So I don't have anyone on benefits in my properties. So I can't apply for benefits or grants for people on benefits because they're not in the properties, and that's how it is. I haven't got a problem with that. That's just how it is. Acorn adds landlords should be allowed an affordability exemption as... Sorry. Should be allowed. Acorn adds landlords should not be allowed an affordability exemption as they claim it will create a two-tier system, and also claim landlords can sell if they can't afford improvements. Absolute BS, okay? So what they're saying in one thing, oh, you can, yeah, you should be able to afford this. We don't want a two-tier system, but if you can't, you can sell. Well, I'll tell you now, if we sell to get the best price out of it, we then got to gain vacant possession. And we're allowed to do that because we're selling the property. So then we've got to serve notice that we're going to sell the property on the tenant. They've got to find somewhere else to live. Suddenly putting more pressure on the rental market. And, I'm all in favour of doing these improvements, by the way. And there are ways, as I just stated there, EPC certificates doesn't tell you exactly how you can do it for a lot less money. But you can, and there are ways that aren't always highlighted by the EPC certificate. They tend to focus on the big cost things. What they want is a freeze on rents for 2 years after renovation has taken place, and a moratorium on no fault evictions grounds. Well, we've already got that come in, and we're not a problem there. However, we still need that process where we can reclaim vacant possession so we can sell it if we need to. And they go, well, tenants would be much more amenable to these works taking place if they feel secure in their tenancy. I bet they would. And we feel much more secure if we were able to make a profit. Let's be clear. Private landlords are a business. They're not a charity. We have to make a profit. It's a business. You don't go into business to make a loss. The amount of profit is the thing that's debatable. We try and make a fair. I want to make a fair profit. There's some property I do make more money on it, but I've spent more money on buying them. But there's one property, I'll give you an example. This lady has lived in a property for 15, 16 years now. It's her home. She pays something like £300 below the market rate, and I have brought her rent up gradually since I bought it 3 or 4 years ago. She was paying a lot less than that. But she's still £300 below that market rate. I'm not going to shove it up to the market rate because she couldn't afford it. And it's her home. If I do that, she can't afford it. She'll leave her home. I'm not going to do that. The house is in good condition. It's a D. I feel reasonably comfortable that we can achieve a C by certain improvements. And I'm qualified as an energy assessor, by the way, in case you're wondering, and a retrofit assessor. So I know a lot more about how to do the improvements than the average landlord. So, and tenants should be amenable to the works anyway, not just feeling more secure on the tenant. They should be amenable that we're going to do the works. But we still need to make a profit. Acorn also says landlords should give tenants plenty of notice before an energy efficiency work begins and should find suitable accommodation during the renovation. So what they're saying is we should stump up the money for them to have other accommodation while these works are taking place. So if the works take 2 weeks, you've got to find them accommodation for 2 weeks. So not just the cost of the works, but the cost of the hotel accommodation or other private rent accommodation. And they also want somewhere convenient for them that allows them to access school, medical appointments. So in their local area. But remember here, there's a massive demand for rental properties. So then you're talking short-term rental, which costs a lot more money. Yeah? But we're supposed to still stump that. Now, don't get me wrong, if I had to move a tenant's house, I would make sure they're in decent accommodation within a reasonable distance of where they were. However, these are issues, the costs, and you're not allowed to raise the rents, but you're supposed to stump up. So you're not getting paid rent by that person for those 2 weeks, whatever it is, and you're also paying for their accommodation for 2 weeks. So, for those of you who don't know, there's a new metric coming in to measure the EPC system, and I won't go into the technical details of it because this is a short video. I've got a podcast, Efficiency in Property Investing. I've done an episode on this. I think it's this week's episode actually, which we released last Monday. I'll put the link for the podcast down below. Please have a listen to it, like, subscribe, and share. By the way, it costs you nothing to share, but it means a huge amount to me, and I'm so grateful for all that support. But anyway, they're going. So the way it's changed, if it changes, by the way, there is a potential there that you have done all these improvements under your latest EPC, and the new metric's going to say that it needs more. And they're saying there should be no, that once it comes in new, there's all. Further, if a home is given an EPC, this is Acorn, by the way, on all metrics in late 2025, they will not expire until 2035 because it's a 10-year certificate. Now, because the new metrics are going to be much more comprehensive, I'd like to produce a different rating than the old metrics. We don't want to risk tenants potentially having to live below standard for 10 years, and they want everyone to get a new EPC certificate. So you might have already paid for one, done the improvements, and they want to get another one and pay for more improvements. Now, obviously, this is Acorn's view. They're obviously putting their pennies worth into the consultation. You need to put your money into the consultation as well. Your money, your information, your feelings, the statistics, what you know into this consultation. And it ends on the 2nd of May. So you haven't got a long time to do it. So along with my link to my podcast, Efficiency in Property Investing, and don't forget there's an episode on EPCs on there, I will put the link to the consultation in the comments as well. Please follow the link, fill in the comments, do it now. Don't do it, say you'll do it tomorrow, because, what they say, tomorrow never comes. So take the action now. Get your say on this consultation, because the tenants are getting their say through the likes of these organisations. It's totally skewed. So have your say, fill in the consultation, and also listen to my podcast as well, Efficiency in Property Investing. Anyway, I'd say enough of your time this evening. Have a great evening. Keep moving forward. And get that consultation filled in.